Welcome to Encrypted Inc. I am your host, Daniel Alvaro. I am here to decrypt everything crypto, ASX, and real estate for you, providing you education, tips, market analysis, and news. So let's get straight into it. We're going to start today with the ASX and what a day it has been today. I'm going to specifically talk about a couple of stocks. Two in particular, Sayona Mining Limited and also Global Lithium Resources. Sayona Mining, who, for you that do not know, is a lithium mining company based in Quebec, Canada, with assets in Canada itself and also within Western Australia. Now, as you can see, Sayona Mining today had quite a nice gain, 16.67% from the open this morning till the close, as you can see there. Global Lithium Resources, WA-based lithium mining company within the Pilbara. Their focus is with projects within the Pilbara region and specifically near Karratha, I believe. They ended up closing out with an 8.11% gain today. However, and I've had this problem before and I know what to do now. So they actually were up 19.51% at one point in time. They had a bit of a drop off here. It would have been a great time to sell at that particular time. I am an owner of Global Lithium Resources and I did manage to sell at that particular point there. I am also a shareholder, I should say, not owner, a shareholder of Sayona Mining, and that was great to see that happen there. And yes, I did make a sale in this particular point in time, which is going to lead me to some tips as well, which I'll get into later. I want to make a big shout out to Kylie Richards. She's been in contact with me. She just wanted some advice and just wanted to talk the ASX. So big shout out to you, Kylie. Thank you for being in contact with me. Thank you for viewing Encrypted Inc. And basically, from speaking with Kylie, it's inspired me to just have a chat to you and all the viewers out there and just basically give you a bit of an education on mergers and acquisitions. Okay, right now in the market we're in now, it is a huge time for mergers and acquisitions. They are happening left, right, and centre. They're just everywhere. In fact, to try and keep up with it all is quite difficult, but we do our best. We're retail investors. You can only do so much. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what is a merger and acquisition, how does it work, and basically what effect it has on the market, okay? So I guess the first point you need to understand with a merger and acquisition is there are two types. There's a friendly or a hostile. So generally, the friendly merger would be, look, I like what your company's doing, and I like what your company's doing. Let's merge and work together and just amalgamate into one company. And then there's obviously a hostile merger or acquisition, which is generally saying, well, I think you are a competitor to me, so I pretty much want to, buy your company out because it avoids competition for myself. So they are the two types of mergers and acquisitions. Now, I'm just going to keep this very basic because I understand there's, this education on this particular channel is to really just educate people who may not know anything about it, or even may know a little bit about it, or something about it, or don't understand quite how it works. So I'm keeping it very basic. So the next point I'm going to talk about is the stages, or just three really basic stages of mergers and acquisitions. The first stage is the talk stage, or also the negotiation stage. Now, this can be played out in the media to some extent if the media can get information regarding a merger or acquisition. They may hear something. It's like a rumor as such, or someone's talking about it, so they may print something regarding it. During that period of time, the negotiations it is just that. The two companies come together and they negotiate. They say, look, I want to buy you out, or I want to work, merge with you. Let's, come to some type of an agreement as such. Okay, and that brings on to the next stage of mergers and acquisitions, and that's the agreement stage. That's when pretty much it's solidified. It's like signing a contract. So it's saying, yep, we've come to an agreement, let's sign a contract, and that's it. We've got the merge. It's on paper, basically. So it's just saying, yes, now we are both agreed that we are going to do a merge, or one company is going to acquire another. Now, there's other stages involved in that. I won't get into it. Obviously, there's a legal stage, so the court will have to approve it in most cases. So I won't get into that. I just want to go very basic as well. And then finally, there's a stage which is the execution stage. Now, the execution stage is typically when you have two stocks and one is merging with another. One will be a target company, one will be an acquiring company. So, for example, if I could give you a perfect example of this, and a recent example that probably everyone may know, would be, I've just drawn a blank right now. Just give me a moment. Afterpay. So Afterpay, everyone's probably heard about it. It was big news. So what happened there? Afterpay would be considered the target company. They're the company that essentially are being taken over. So given that they're the target company, they will no longer exist once the execution of the merger or acquisition takes place. Now, there's the acquiring company. The acquiring company in this particular case is Jack Dorsey's company, Square Inc. Okay? So his company is taking over Afterpay. Now, what you want to know, and the most important thing about it, is what effect does a merger and acquisition have on the stock price? That's the most important thing. So I'm just going to give you an example with Afterpay as to what happens during a merger and acquisition and what really happens to a stock price. First of all, let's bring up Afterpay. So this is, like I said, the target company, the company that will no longer be called Afterpay. That's it, unless they keep that particular brand. But generally, in saying this company will be absorbed by Square Inc. Now, let's look at this particular time period. I want to look at this period from here at its all-time high at $131.27 to this very, very low period here of $96, roughly $96.35. Okay, now I want to. Oh, that's really going to annoy me. I have to do something about that. I'll just put a dot there too. Are we done? Okay. All right. Let's do some analysis here. So there has been, that's a 25% drop from a peak up here, which happened in the 24th of June, I believe. Yep. To the 30th of July. Now, during this period, I would comfortably make an assumption this would be a negotiation period between Afterpay and Square One. And ultimately, that has been the effect on the Afterpay's share price. Now, So this is we're focusing here on the target company and the effect it has on the target company. So during the talk on a negotiation period, we've seen a decrease in the price of the target company. Now, what do we know? News, of course. Let's have a look going back. Jack Dorsey Square agreed to buy Afterpay, which has a buy now, pay later service for 25 million in stock. Now, the key point is here, this is the agreement. So this is when it was released, and most likely this would probably be around the time when the deal was done, which is essentially the agreement stage, like I mentioned. So now this is the agreement. They agreed to buy, not the negotiation, not the talk, but the agreement. When did this take place? We can possibly assume that if Yahoo News got onto this straight away, that this was probably shortly after when the agreement actually took place. August 2nd, 2021. Okay, let's go back to our charts. What happened on August the 2nd? There it is right there. Afterpay price went from $96.73 all the way up, or open the next day, at roughly, what's that, 124? My ruler again. Within literally the open and close of a day, that's a 29.22% increase or gain in the price. Okay? So what does that tell you? Target company, once an agreement generally takes place, there's quite an increase in that particular price of stock, or increase in that particular stock's price. Now, what's the future for Afterpay? Okay, I could go on to some other charts as well, but I just don't want to take too much time on this. I'm keeping this to a 30-minute show, so I don't want to dwell too much on that. But generally speaking, the target company, from the time the agreement takes place and to, as I mentioned before, the execution stage, which is when the target company is no longer trading on the ASX, you will see, most likely, not investment advice, a more than average increase in that particular share price. Okay, so that's the target company there. As far as the acquiring company, there's a key point here to know, and Square Inc. is an American company. This is just purely an example, but this also generally reflects what happens on the ASX, with also the acquiring company. So again, like I mentioned, acquiring company, this is the company that is taking over the assets of the target company. So no more Afterpay, Square One in this particular case, which is Jack Dorsey's company. So what happens to that particular price, or the probability of that particular price, once Afterpay is no longer listed on the ASX and the execution stage takes place? Generally speaking, you will see a downward dip in the acquiring company's price. Now, I think I need to make this clear, but thank you, Kylie, for bringing me this up. Like I mentioned this in a group, and she got in contact with me. I think what I need to make clear here is it is very short term. It is not long term. It is not when the acquiring company acquires the company that their stock price is just going to just go down and down and down forever. No, it is actually just a short-term adjustment in price. And if you want to know the reason for that, generally is because as Afterpay's price most likely from the time of the agreement will increase in value. When it comes time to the execution of that particular stock, generally speaking, the increase in Afterpay's price causes the decrease in, let's just say, Square Inc.'s price once the execution takes place, because over time they'll be paying more for the acquisition of that particular stock. So that is particularly why that happens. That's a little bit on mergers and acquisitions. I try to make it as simple as I can for my viewers out there, so you can understand it. And that's the whole point of this channel. Is that, or in any of the learning that I'm teaching you, I'm putting it in a very basic format for you, so you can understand. Next, I guess, is, what should I do as an investor? Like, I want to get on a merger. It sounds like a good thing. And yes, it is 100%. If you can pick a stock that has, potential for an acquisition or a merger to take place, not investment advice, but hypothetically, it is, a good thing. You can see greater gains in that particular stock. So how do you pick them? Well, it's the mergers and acquisitions market is just firing at the moment. It looks like anyone and everyone is just trying to take anyone over at the moment. My advice would be, research. Go on websites, see what's out there, look at what the rumors are out there. There's a big saying you buy the rumor and then you sell the story. So, I mean, in this particular case, if you had a rumor about Afterpay being taken over by Jack Dorsey's company Square, you could potentially buy the rumor here, and you could sell the story up here if you wanted to, because that's when the story got released. But what you could possibly do is also maybe think, well, what maybe are some companies that may be acquired or will be willing to acquire other companies in the future. So if you want a couple of companies which I think may have that potential in the future, I would probably suggest South 32 and also Mineral Resources, which is also another lithium company. Whether they will be doing the merging, the target company or the acquiring company, not sure, but they would most likely participate in something like that, from what I've read and from what I've heard. So what is it? It is 18 minutes into my stream. So now I'll switch from the ASX into the crypto market. And how we're going to begin this? Like I said, this is for beginners as well as intermediate people and advanced people that just want market analysis and news, and also basically some education. So I'm tailoring it for as many people as I possibly can here. So why is that important? Why do I want to do this? I said this in my original post, and I'll just say it again. Education is key. Understanding what happens, or especially in crypto, what is it that you're actually investing in and what does it do is vitally important to, finding out whether you should invest in it or not. So education, knowing what something is, how it works, and also knowledge or information in day trading or trading, doing this full time, which is what I do, is vitally key. So let's start with crypto. Let's start with the very first thing you should know if you are entering the crypto market, and that's the basis of the whole crypto market. The key thing that basically started a cryptocurrency, and that is, what is a blockchain? I mean, that essentially, in its very beginning stages, is what started crypto. So let's talk about it. What is a blockchain? And I'm going to keep this extremely simple and extremely brief. Okay, if you want to go into, and this is another thing, if you want to know more about what a blockchain is, please write in the comments. I can explain what a node is. I can explain what a protocol is. I can explain what, consensus is and that sort of thing, and we can get into that. So just if you want to know that, and this is for the people, so yeah, just let me know what content you want on this side. So let's go. What is a blockchain? Basically, in a very simple one word, you could just say it's a ledger. Okay, it's a digital ledger, and it's simply a way of recording information or even a transaction. Both. I mean, a transaction is technically, in a digital format, is information anyway. It just has some monetary connection to that. So that's it. That's a blockchain. It's as simple as that. Now, what makes it special? What makes it different? Why is it so, in a sense, revolutionary, or why is there this big fuss about it? All right. Well, here I'll give you the reason why. And I want to go through some properties about blockchain first before I explain why. First property, or properties of blockchain, is programmable. Okay, it's a program. It's not people. It's not anything. It is something. I shouldn't say that. It's not a company or that sort of thing monitoring what's going on here and sending information here and there. It's entirely programmable, so you can build on a blockchain. You can build things, and I'll get to that. And that's where the space is heading. I mean, that's why Ethereum is so popular. And I won't get too much into that. I'll get into that later anyway. Okay, it's immutable. What does immutable mean? Transactions are not irreversible. They're done. Once they're done, they're done. It's like, a good example of this is going and giving cash to someone to buy something. Once it's done, it's done. I mean, you could go back and you could say, oh, look, I want my money back. But I mean, if you exchanged it generally for something, they'll probably just say, well, no. So it is like that. It's time-stamped. It's time-stamped on a block. Okay, so the information has a recording of some sort. It's secure in the sense that the records are individually encrypted. Okay, so there is a record, and I guess now this could go both ways nowadays with different cryptocurrencies, but in general, there's a ledger, and the ledger is public. Like if anyone makes a transaction within a blockchain, everyone can see it. Anyone. I can go to a website right now and just see a transaction between two people I have no idea of. So in the sense that, it's you don't know where the money's going or heading, and in regards to governments and things like that, no, that's not true. Okay, and again, it can go back the other way, because now people have invented cryptocurrencies which are completely, well, they just don't have a public ledger. So then, yes, I mean, there is a sense that you can transfer and no one would know. So, but generally speaking, there is a public ledger, and you can see where money is going. It's anonymous. It's anonymous. And what do I mean by that? I don't know if you watch UFC, or I do occasionally, and Bruce Buffer, or even any fighting, when two boxers come together and they can't agree upon something, or two fighters fight it out and no one's been knocked out, the judges have to come to an unanimous decision. And that's basically how a blockchain works. When a transaction takes place, then there has to be an unanimous agreement that or data where that is that meant to go there? Is that meant to go from point A to point B? Unless you have that, then basically, you know, if you don't have that, if you don't have like a checking system, I mean, anything could go anywhere. It could just be different data or different transactional amounts you wouldn't even know. So yeah, that's part of it. So I mean, there's consensus groups, and we'll get into more. I don't want to make it too technical for you, but there's a consensus behind that, and miners basically they're the ones solving the puzzles for you to basically affirm that that's what's meant to go in a particular place, whether it be data or a transaction. Okay, now I don't want to dwell on this too much. I think I've talked enough on this, but I'll be very brief. So why is blockchain important? Two important characteristics for me is there's a potential there for complete decentralization, and also censorship in itself. So technically it's like cash. If you wanted to pay someone, it's in your hand to that other person. There's no middleman. There's no one saying, okay, I want to pay that person, and then that person saying, oh, wait a minute, no, I'm not giving that to that person. Here's your money back, or or anything like that. And I guess in a sense, it can be different to a bank. A bank is basically a custodian, and generally when you're making a transaction between two different banks, they hold the money for you. They're checking their own ledgers basically before the money is transferred between the two entities or two people. Okay, whereas a blockchain, that doesn't happen. It's basically instantaneous, and that's something that I enjoy about crypto, is that I like that instantaneous transaction. It is in a sense somewhat like digital cash. I'm not going to say it is or anything like that and put an umbrella around it, but that is in a sense what it could possibly be, I guess. Okay, so that was what a blockchain is. Now let's get into the interesting stuff. Let's get into the market. All right. What have we got here? What am I going to talk to you about now? All right, I want to just talk to you a bit about some market analysis. We're going to talk about Ethereum and Uniswap. For all you the beginners out there, Ethereum is a top tier cryptocurrency. It follows to some degree, but there's debate about whether it will in the future, Bitcoin's price. So Bitcoin, I guess you would see it as like the biggest indicator, or the most popular cryptocurrency. But Ethereum follows generally a fairly similar pattern to that. Uniswap is directly or somewhat connected to Ethereum. I mentioned this before. As you can see, the prices at certain points follow the same pattern. So what I'm going to talk to you here, and I'll just move my little head over there because it's just easier for me to see, is I guess what has happened since the 4th of August. Okay, we can go further back and I'll get into that. Maybe I should. And I mentioned it in the last, well, actually, no, you can watch my last video explaining what happened here. Basically, in this period behind here, there was pretty much a sideways channel regarding almost every cryptocurrency, whether it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, any pretty much cryptocurrency. So it's what I call a sideways channel. So what is a sideways channel? It's basically a period of where people are selling and people are buying, but there's no real spike in, a lot of people getting in the market or a lot of people really selling off. The reason for that, it was, I mentioned it before, is that institutions in America, basically at that point in time, were buying as much cryptocurrency as they possibly can from anyone. It could have been a retail investor. Doesn't matter. They're in, they're taking it, they want it, and that was it. And that was the sideways channel that we went to. At this particular point in time here, There was a bit of a dip, and now we're seeing basically a nice, upward trend in the price of Uniswap and Ethereum. Now, I just want to draw this attention. I mentioned before about the London hard fork. So the London hard fork took place around about here. Now, what have we seen after the London hard fork? Well, before the London hard fork, London hard fork, there was basically a period. Well, there was a sell-off here, and there was just this slight accumulation period, I would say, until there. Now, what has happened over this point in time? The market obviously has gone in an upward channel, okay? And what can you see? Now, from what you can see here, you can see a lot of volume. I mean, the volume in these upward trends, the majority of it is just due to the absolute volume of people getting into the market. Now, where do you think that volume is coming from? Do you think it's coming from a retail investor? I mean, I'm a retail investor, sure. And I mean, do I think I have as much as an American institution who's got loads of money just sitting there in an account that is willing to go, all right, yeah, I think now's a good entry point. Let's start investing in a particular stock. Crypto. No. So here are your whales. If that's for all the crypto people out there, that's whale movement right there. Just there, just there, just there. This is them buying again and coming up through here, and it's causing this channel. What we saw here in this particular point in time is a sell-off. Okay, so what happens here? We get to a particular point of the market. You would have probably seen, as you can see, it took somewhat of a sideways channel here. Can you see that from an upward trend sideways channel? Generally, if you've seen an increase like this before and you see a sideways channel like this, there's going to be some type of movement in the market. And generally, if it's been on an upward channel, the movement will be down. It's just like anything. For someone that bought way back here and you've seen this much of an increase in the price, it's going to be time to sell off. And that's what we've seen. That was a sell-off right there. And again, we went into another channel, as you can see here. So we went down in price and it entered another channel. Well, it tried to, as you can see. Now, one of my investment rules is, this isn't for anyone, but I call it the double flag, okay? It's a pattern what I call the double flag. And this is a typical double flag. And I've illustrated what a flag is here, and I've drawn it. You can see it. It looks like a flag. So it's an upward channel with a decrease. Now, I've put that point there because that's the point of where, potentially that was a high, and then it dipped back to a low, and it enters another channel. As it's entering another channel, what happens? It goes up, and then it hits a point where then it goes into a sideways channel, which is this particular area here, okay? Now, personally, the double flag to me means that we've seen more than a general or slight increase in the price. And what I can show you back here is that if I just zoom in on this, look at the increase over that, like over there. But if you notice, if I put a line that way, that's actually quite a sharp increase, isn't it? It's more of a, how can I say, the angle of increase, if you want to call that, is more than this particular one. So this has been quite sharp. This particular point in time is going to be interesting, and it's funny because when I drew this, I thought, okay, this will be a pivotal point. Yes, it is. Why? Because in this particular box, it's going to tell you what's happening, what's the next move for the market, where's the volume going to come in? Is it going to be a mass volume sell-off, or is it going to be a mass volume, increase again? Given the fact that we've seen two channels and an upward trend, and we've hit that point there, and you've seen it just quite clearly here, I drew unfortunately, I wish I'd done this live. This would have been even better, and hopefully I'll get to things like that in the future. But basically what we've seen is just a considerable drop off in that price from there. Now it's starting to have a little bit of a tail there. Pretty much where do I think it will come down to? What I like to look at particularly is the bottom end of my second flag. If I can draw more lines, I'm like Mr. Squiggle here. I've got the nose for it, so why not? I'll just keep going. The bottom end of that particular flag. So now that we've considered maybe going into a sideways channel and when sort of dipping down, I'm looking at this particular area here, and like as a trader and investor, pretty much what I'm looking for is an entry level here into the market. Now, where that's going to be or when, I'm not 100% sure. If I was to give probably where I think it may happen, I would say probably somewhere in the middle, and this is what I also do, more drawing, somewhere within the middle of my second flag. Okay, so this is where I anticipate somewhere, and here will be the bottom end of this particular cycle in the market, which is this cycle here. Now, not investment advice, but if you're bullish on cryptocurrency and where it's going in the future, I mean, this could be a very good entry level for someone that's getting into the market to see some sort of increase. If you entered into the crypto market when there was a massive sideways channel for quite a period of time before the dip or the correction that's happened, if I can just give this, maybe I should do any. Well, I'll switch that. Let's go to this one. So, excuse me, charts. My computer. I need a better computer. Can't handle all the screens that I've got. This is not just the only screen I've got here. I've got 2 other screens going, and I think it's chugging along. All right, so yeah, I highlighted this particular point here back in the day. So this was a very good entry level, basically. There was this channel that I mentioned here, which is the sideways channel just before the correction. That drawing looks a bit off. Wait, just bear with me. It's hard to see. Oh, my computer's struggling. Very much struggling. Okay. I'm going to get some better equipment for you guys. I'll have to go out and buy some high-end computer because, yeah, everything that's going on here is it's not liking it. All right, so basically what I was saying here is you can sort of see it here anyway, just disregard some of the other lines. Is there was an entry level down here and my charts just died completely. Is it? Is my computer still working? Yeah, okay, I'm good. Alright. Oh. Yeah. Alright. Are we back? Yay. Okay. Here we go. If I can get this right for you guys. So if you've been in crypto for a while and you've bought into this period here where a lot of the institutions were buying into, great entry points, probably anywhere from here to even down here. If you got in at the very low, like there, that's even better. Double flag formation, we've seen London hard fork obviously had some effect there. One of the most golden rules I have in investing, guys, is that There's only two things certain in life, and that's death and taxes. If you did buy in at this point here, take your unrealized gains. And if you don't know what an unrealized gain is, it is if you bought it here at say you invested 10,000 here. These are just rough figures. I'm not going to go like if you invested 10,000 here, and then at this point in time you haven't sold any of it, but at this point in time your 10,000 is now worth 15,000. Okay, sell off 5,000. You're still invested in the market. If you're bullish on in the long term on Ethereum, the fact that you've sold out just your unrealized gain mitigates the risk if the price steeply falls to say even here, or even goes halfway down. Let's just say it goes back to when the London hard fork took place. If you bought in here and you held and you think, and this is the thing, and I can't stress this enough, take your gains while you can, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Let's just say for some reason, and well, let's just look at the coronavirus, for example, and what effect that had on the market. Now, what is there to say that tomorrow some bank in America decides to fold? And what happens? What do you think will happen to Ethereum's price? What do you think will happen to the ASX? Okay, it'll happen. And when the news comes out, and if your market isn't open, or you're not looking at the crypto market, you will see a massive sell-off. And I'm talking the price will drop significantly. And before you even know it, even if you bought at this point in time, your unrealized gain will disappear so quickly that you almost wish you sold at that point in time. Because if you take your unrealized gain at this point in time, it's almost like, well, even if something like that happens, I've taken my profit out. I'm still invested in it, sure. But then if it drops to say down somewhere here, it doesn't really matter then, does it? Because you bought in at this price, your unrealized gain is in, you're still in the market. I mean, there's other things as well, like some people will say, oh, I'm just going to get out of it completely, like I've done my dash and I'm out. Okay, that's fine. If you want to do that, that's completely up to you. But it's important to know, well, in your mind or in your thinking, are you still bullish on Ethereum or any particular stock that you're invested in? Crypto markets are very different, can be very volatile. Exercise risk when you're entering the crypto market, especially. And I've had sleepless nights. I've had nights where I haven't slept at all, and that's just basically because I love what I do. I can't get enough of what I do every day, whether it be crypto or ASIC. I just want to know more. I just want to research. I look at charts constantly. It's probably a bad thing, but it's almost an obsession to the point I'll hop into my car, I'll put in my hotspot in my car attached to my laptop, and I'll just keep an eye on a particular chart or something that I believe something may happen in the future. And I'll just keep looking at it, just glancing at it while I'm driving, which is probably a bad thing. But I mean, this is just generally when I'm stopped at a set of traffic lights, I'll just quickly have a look because I just need to know what's going on. So keeping your eye on what you're invested in, or what you want to invest in, and finding good entry points and taking your gains as you go at certain points, so that if anything happens unexpectedly in the future, you basically then can say, well, it doesn't affect me. It's somewhat of risk management, and basically that. So that's my tip for both ASX and stock, ASX and crypto investors. I've just got a couple of shout outs that I want to do. Dan Fuller, big shout out to you, mate. Sorry I couldn't get to our meeting today. It's just been a very busy day. I will discuss how crypto can potentially be incorporated into your business. For all that are new here, I'll get to that, especially beginners. I'll explain this how maybe Dan may want to do this, potentially in the sense of an NFT, non-fungible token. That's generally how you can incorporate crypto. Rather, it's just more than a currency. Then it's not an exchange or something. It's generally a representation of a digital asset. And I'll get into that, and I'll get into more complicated things about that later. But thank you, Dan. I look forward to meeting you, mate. I just can't wait, to be honest, and I'm sorry that we couldn't make that meeting today. The last shout out would be to Kevin. He's the admin of Perth Crypto Group. Mate, I love the group that you've created there. The content since I've joined the group has been absolutely amazing. So a big thank you to you for allowing me to provide a link to my particular show. Couldn't do it without you. I think I've had, on my very first show, I think I'm up to maybe 20, 25 views on my particular channel. So thank you so much. Very appreciated. Yes, I hope I can get to 10,000 subscribers. That would be an absolute dream. It'll be more than just my head and a chart if I do. I can assure you that. I've already got a room in my house which I would like to change, or change into a studio. I'd like to get even people from Perth or anywhere, whether it be through a live stream or even personally, to just come down and have a chat and to record it and to provide this to anyone out there that's interested in crypto, ASX, or property. So big shout out to you. So Perth Crypto Group, join the group. That's the admin. Kevin, say hello, get to know the people. And that's all I have for today. It's gone a bit over time. Sorry, guys. I wanted to keep it to half an hour. It's 46 minutes. What have I got to say? Like, subscribe, share it with your family and friends. Write comments. I apologize, on my first video I didn't have comments active. I do have comments active now, so tell me, give me information. What do you want to hear? I spoke to Kylie. She just sent me a message about something, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to talk about it. I'll talk to the people about it. So put in there what you want to hear, whether it be a particular crypto, whether it would be even a question that for a beginner that you might not understand. I'm here to help you. This is why I'm doing this channel. I want to help the people. I want you to know as much as you can, understand how things work. If you're a trader, like you're thinking of taking the leap of faith and going into, trading and investing in stocks full time like myself, look, I'm here to help. And just put anything you want in the comment section about cryptos, ASX, or even the real estate market, and I'll talk about it on this channel. So yes, please like, subscribe, and share with your family and friends. Thank you for tuning in today. I'll see you all tomorrow with my next stream. Looking forward to it, and I'll see you then.